A snowstorm can change a lot of things, but for one single dad named Mark, it changed everything. It started the moment his truck skidded off the icy road, leaving him and the CEO he barely knew, Amanda Blake, stranded in the middle of a whiteout. They found an old cabin, a forgotten ranger's hut tucked between dark pines, and huddled inside with nothing but a half-broken fireplace and a single wool blanket. Mark was used to being strong for his little girl. But that night, as the wind howled outside and the cold seeped in through the cracks, he had no idea that the woman beside him would end up seeing a part of his heart no one else had bothered to notice in years. He didn't expect what she whispered next, her voice trembling with the cold and something else, something vulnerable. "Can I slip under your blanket?" Those few words would stay with him forever, not because of the closeness, but because of what came after: honesty, kindness, and a moment that reminded them both what it truly means to care for someone. Before we get deeper into this story, make sure to subscribe, like, and comment to support the channel, Kindness Tales. Your support helps us share more stories that warm the heart and remind us of the good still left in the world. Mark had met Amanda only twice before that day. She was the CEO of the construction company that owned the project he was working on, a renovation job he desperately needed to pay for his daughter Emma's speech therapy. Amanda was sharp, confident, and always surrounded by people who agreed with her just because of her title. Mark didn't think she even remembered his name. To her, he was probably just another contractor. Another face in a hard hat. But fate doesn't care about titles. They were both driving back from the job site when the storm hit. Visibility dropped to almost nothing. His truck slid. Her car spun into a ditch. Somehow, they ended up on foot, fighting the kind of cold that makes your bones hurt. The old ranger cabin was a miracle. It was small, dusty, and smelled like old pine, but it had 4 walls and a roof, and that was enough to save them. Inside, Mark tried to start a fire, snapping twigs and blowing on weak sparks. Amanda wrapped her arms around herself, shivering hard. Her expensive coat wasn't built for a real storm. Mark noticed her lips turning pale, and without a word, he took off his own thick jacket and placed it over her shoulders. She looked up at him, surprised. "You're freezing too," she said. "Yeah," he answered with a tired smile. "But I'm used to it." She didn't argue. When the fire finally caught, its glow filled the little cabin with flickering light. They sat close, sharing the only blanket. The silence between them wasn't uncomfortable, just heavy, like two people carrying stories they never expected to share. After a few minutes, Amanda spoke. "I always thought being a CEO meant I had to act like everything was perfect. Like I couldn't show weakness. But today," she paused, staring at the flames. "Today I realized how small I really am compared to nature." Mark nodded. "Cold has a way of humbling you." She laughed softly. "So does life." The wind outside slammed against the cabin, rattling the boards. Amanda shuddered again. That's when she whispered, "Can I slip under your blanket?" Her voice was trembling, not flirtatious, just honest, scared, human. Mark lifted the blanket, letting her move closer. She wasn't used to relying on anyone. He could tell. She curled up near him slowly, like she wasn't sure she was allowed to. "Thank you," she said quietly. Mark shrugged. "Kindness doesn't cost anything." Her eyes softened. "People forget that." They stayed like that for a long time, listening to the storm roar. Amanda eventually broke the silence. "You mentioned your daughter once. Emma, right?" He smiled a little. "Yeah. She's 6. Smartest kid I know. Loves drawing horses even though she's never seen a real one up close." "All girls love horses," Amanda said, chuckling. "But you looked worried earlier today when you got that phone call." Mark hesitated, then decided there was no point hiding it anymore. "Her therapist raised the price again. I'm already working 2 jobs." I don't know how I'm going to manage it this time. For the first time since he met her, Amanda didn't look like a CEO. She looked like a woman trying to understand a world she'd been too busy to see. A woman realizing how distant her life had been from the struggles of people who worked for her. "Why didn't you say something?" she asked. He smiled, shaking his head. "Because people hear, 'single dad,' and think I'm asking for pity. I don't want that. I just want to take care of my kid." Amanda looked down, her voice growing softer. "I grew up with everything handed to me. Every door opened. Every problem fixed by someone else. Sometimes I forget that's not normal." Mark didn't judge her. He didn't blame her. Kindness wasn't about pointing fingers, it was about listening. Hours passed, and the storm finally began to calm. The fire dimmed. Amanda's head slowly leaned onto his shoulder, not out of romance, but trust. A kind of trust she probably hadn't felt in years. "You're a good father," she whispered. He swallowed hard, surprised by how much those 4 words meant to him. "I'm trying." "You're doing more than trying," she said. "You gave me your blanket. You kept the fire going. You could have left me out there. But you didn't." "Couldn't do that," he murmured. "Why?" "Because you're human," he said. "And humans take care of each other. At least, they should." Amanda's eyes glistened a little. Maybe it was the cold. Maybe it was the warmth. Or maybe it was hearing something she'd forgotten a long time ago. Morning came with soft sunlight spilling through the cracks in the cabin walls. When they stepped outside, the storm had passed, leaving a world covered in untouched snow. Amanda looked at the quiet landscape, then at Mark. "When we get back," she said gently, "come to my office. I want to talk to you about Emma. And about a new position I think you'd be perfect for." Mark started to protest, but she raised her hand. "This isn't charity," she said firmly. "This is me finally seeing the people right in front of me. And it's long overdue." For the first time in a long while, Mark felt hope rise in his chest. As they walked back to the road, side by side, the storm behind them and a new beginning ahead, one thing was clear: kindness, simple, honest kindness, had changed both of their worlds that night. Sometimes, the coldest storms bring out the warmest parts of us. And sometimes, all it takes to change a life is one moment, one blanket, and one choice to care.